Well, Ziyanda Ngcobo has been following those proceedings in court. Ziyanda, what a spectacular day in court, really. No better way to phrase what has happened in terms of how the processes in court unfolded. One doesn't certainly get the sense that it is what the NPA was expecting.
Well, it certainly wasn't what Afri-forum was expecting, and it's certainly a complete opposite of what they told us yesterday, and when they said that this is definitely not a robbery, but it's actually a hit. And when Advocate George Baloyi was then reading out the facts of the case, it's all indications that there were intruders that entered the house and shot Meyiwa 3 times. And so then there was a lot of confusion around what exactly happened. And then we spoke to Advocate Gerrie now afterward, and he admitted that he's just as confused as we were, and that there seems to have been a miscommunication regarding the facts of the case. But he stands by what he said yesterday, that Senzo Meyiwa was assassinated and it wasn't a robbery.
A miscommunication regarding the facts of the case that I suppose in one way or another would have a direct bearing on the suspects that appeared in court today. Given the fact that many of them had been facing prior charges, do we know yet how far back some of the cases that they're serving sentences for actually go? And if in fact they were out at the time that Senzo Meyiwa was murdered?
Well, I must actually indicate, before we took these proceedings live, that during the media's application, where Magistrate Havenga was speaking to them individually about whether or not they're opposed to us taking it live, that's exactly when more explosive allegations were made by these particular suspects, and it's linked to what you're asking about now. They were basically saying they don't understand why they're in court. One of them even said that they lied. We don't know who they is, but he was saying they lied and said we were arrested yesterday, when in actual fact I've been sentenced as far back as August this year. Another one of the suspects was quite adamant that this is a sham. There's a corrupt police official who's bribed witnesses, and, quote, the people who are supposed to be in court are not appearing because they have money. Now, this obviously sets tongues wagging to say, well, what exactly is happening? Because firstly, the state is saying that this was a robbery and not an assassination. Then you have these witnesses who are essentially 3 of the 5 who were already inside jail serving their jail sentences. And then they're also making allegations that they don't even know why they've been called to the court, which is why they refused to sit in the dock.
Of course, it's not unheard of for accused to try and cause controversy around the case. So we'll sit and wait and see how it unfolds. But the actual merits of the case, although they were not part of the court proceedings today, they certainly did come out in that information from the investigating officer that was leaked to the media, as we've now been told.
Yeah.
When one looks at what is being said in that sheet and what information still needs to be obtained, the confessions of accused number 1 and 2 are central to the case, and yet those statements have not yet been secured.
Most certainly, and I think, when that document was accidentally sent to us as journalists, which mentions the name of Senzo Meyiwa's then girlfriend, Gerrie, and that there are cell phone records that link her to 1 or 2 of the suspects who were appearing in court today, there are many questions about why then she wasn't also a part of those who were appearing in the dock. And of course then, this issue that these suspects were speaking about possible bribes, is linked to what may be the reason why even Afri-forum was wrongly briefed. Domfuti Meyiwa, Senzo Meyiwa's mother, during an exclusive interview with Newzroom Afrika, told me that there are 2 factions within the police force, and there's one that is always trying to hamstring progress in this case. Because it's very strange, Kathy, that yesterday a very confident Advocate Gerrie now telling us that this was an assassination. Today, a different picture is being painted. And then, of course, mistakenly, then we also stumble across this information that Gerrie, there's information about her cell phone records that link her to these suspects in court. And there were also questions about why the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department was used to transport these suspects and not the SAPS, which then also raises questions about whether or not it was a robbery, because if it was a robbery, surely then SAPS should have been called.